Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Ryan, and I wanted to make a video basically introducing myself, talking about what I want to bring to this channel because I've really been holding off creating content. And my goal is to have a YouTube page where I can talk about my experiences, things that I'm passionate about, and have it resonate with people who might be experiencing or have had experienced similar things in their lives. And I really believe that, the most powerful tool in this realm is sharing and coming together and collaborating, whether it's just through videos or comments that people resonate with. Everybody just coming together to share their stories, feed off one another, and help each other out. Because I believe that we all kind of seek out people, pages, personalities, content that we resonate with. And for me, the people that I've always kind of gravitated towards in terms of content are people that I resonate with, people that seem personable, honest about their experiences. They're not really trying to make it about themselves, but their goal is to really help other people and let them know that they're not alone. And that's the most powerful thing about these apps like YouTube and Instagram. They can really be used for good. And one thing that really had me turned off and not wanting to create is that the market is overflowing with people, with influencers. And a lot of times I've been led in the wrong direction, and you can't always trust the people that are out here. Some people tell you a story that might not be fully true. Some people are really in it for themselves. But at the same time, there are so many incredible people in this space. And like I said, I think the people that come on here and are open and honest, and really their goal is to want to help other people and inspire them to be the best versions of themselves, and to know that they're not alone, and to have create a community really. And I guess my message, really what I want to bring to the table, and it might seem counterintuitive to creating content, but for me, one thing I've learned in this journey over the past decade really is that it always comes back to me understanding that I have the power already to do what I need to do to help myself. And I have been fortunate enough to have met some incredible people, to have watched some incredible content, and been directed by people who are really powerful people in the space. And really, what it comes back to always is that you're the one at the end of the day who has the power to change your life. And a lot of people, I think, can preach the fact that they're able to change your life or to put you where you need to be. And again, I think you can be influenced. I think you can be coached and mentored by some amazing people. But I believe that ultimately the best mentors in this space are the ones that are going to empower you to understand that no matter what, you are the one who's going to help you. You're the one who's going to help yourself. And really, you already have all the tools you need within you. You just need to learn and understand how to bring those out of you, really. So again, a little bit about me and my background and why I'm here. I guess it all really started in 2011 when I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and I was 21 at the time. And I really went through the years to follow would be some of the most challenging periods of my life. And don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of great things to come from this. And that's why I want to kind of rewind and then show you really what it's brought me to. But rewind to 2011, and that's when I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And at the time, I felt pretty helpless. I felt like a victim. I was wondering why me. And over the years to follow, I was put through a lot of different medications, steroids, treatments. My body would fluctuate in terms of weight, in terms of strength, in terms of what I was able to handle physically, mentally. And I really realized that after all these years of going through what I went through, it somehow had to connect to something that had happened to me in my life in terms of early stress, whether it was bullying or harassment or family trauma or stress from my childhood. You know, the doctors would tell me that there was no reason for me to have this. It just happens. And when people get diagnosed with Crohn's, colitis, IBD, and these sort of autoimmune or inflammatory conditions, there's no explanation to it. It just happens. And, you know, for a long time, I was really just willing to follow along and kind of be told what I had to do. And it wasn't until 2019 when I lost my father. So, my father was somebody who later in life was really, really depressed. And he was a very stressed individual. He had really given up on a lot of things in life that were important, honestly. And when he was diagnosed with stage 4 renal cell kidney cancer, I started to see a pattern in what had happened like leading up to his diagnosis, and evidently him unfortunately passing away only after a few months after the diagnosis. And I had noticed that my dad, God bless him, because he's still with me and I've learned so much from him and from that experience. But I saw somebody who had given up. It's going to sound a little bit harsh and a little bit dark, but I had seen somebody who had given up on life before his diagnosis. And it's almost like he manifested the diagnosis. And then when it happened, it was like an excuse for him to kind of fully give up, fully surrender, fully rest, and be taken care of until his final days. And, you know, that's where like the spiritual side comes out in me. And like, I believe everything happens for a reason. And, you know, I would love to have my father with me here today, but to be fully honest with you, he didn't want to be here. And, you know, that whole experience with having to be so close to death, loss, grief, seeing the mental, physical connection, I started to think about my own health and what had led me to inherit the disease that I did. And I said to myself, there's something more going on here, and there's more that I could and should be doing for myself. And I wanted to take more power into my own hands. And 2020 is when, right, you know, I did take some time off after losing my father to grieve, really, and to process everything that had happened, because grief comes in waves. You know, you can think you're okay one day, you can think that you've done all your grieving, all the grieving that you need to do, and then it can hit you like a ton of bricks one day. But really, if you're trying to distract yourself from those feelings, they're going to catch up with you at some point. You're going to experience them in your body in some way. So I wanted to go back to school as an adult to learn more about nutrition and holistic healing and the physical, mental, spiritual connection that we all have within us. And so I went back to school. I received a certification in holistic nutrition. And don't get me wrong, like I really love the nutrition piece of all of that, but the biggest like light bulb for me was really the mental side of things and how stress ultimately leads us to some pretty crazy places in our life. And it's going to affect us all in different ways. But ultimately, what I've come to believe now, and again, like everything I say on my channel is going to be my personal opinion. It's going to be how I feel and how I've resonated with things. We're all different. We're all going to experience things differently. And I will never give medical advice or what I think you should be doing. What I will say is I will talk about my story. I will talk about things that have worked for me, things that I believe in, and you can take them or leave them. I think with even with people in this space who have really helped me, I don't fully agree with everything they're going to say. And that's the beauty of all this. We're never going to fully agree with 100% of what people have to say. We're always going to take things here and there. We're going to extract what we need from certain people. And that's all going to come to us in a variety of ways. And we're going to take from all these wonderful people what we need. So with that being said, I truly believe that stress is the underlying factor to all health conditions. Anything from, getting sick in the winter and having the flu to being diagnosed with something as severe as colitis or Crohn's. For me, I know that as a young man, I bottled so much stress up. I had so much anxiety. And when I was younger and when I was being bullied at school, I would always have a nervous stomach. And the first thing that would hit me, I'd feel this pit in my stomach of like my emotions would just go there. And I faked sick a lot. I wanted to stay home. I wanted to feel safe. I didn't want to face my demons. I didn't want to come face to face with the people that were giving me a hard time and making me feel so low. So when I think about the times over the last few years, the last several years, I had some extremely debilitating flares. And I'm at the point now, I do not take any medication. I haven't taken anything as much as a Tylenol in over 3 years. I really believe in the body's ability to heal itself. I believe when, if I start to feel a little off, I have to rest and give my body the time it needs to do what it has to do. That being said, there were times in my life where I relied on medication. I've relied on holistic remedies and supplements and food and everything. But really, I believe like up here is the most powerful tool that we need to learn how to navigate our minds and what we're telling ourselves and what we're thinking about is going on, and letting go of all this control that we need to have when we feel this way. So I believe that when I was in these flares, it was like my body telling me that I needed to step back. And it was almost like a way of protecting me, because when I was younger and I wanted to stay home and I wanted to be around my mom or I wanted to feel safe, it's almost like my body was remembering that, or somewhere in my subconscious mind, it was telling me, Ryan, you need to take this time to let go and to surrender and to feel safe. It's like my body wanting to just feel safe. So, if you have Crohn's or colitis or inflammatory bowel of any form, you'll know that when you're in a flare, you just want to be at home and you just want to embrace your safety, and you don't feel comfortable putting yourself out there, going out for a long day, not knowing where bathrooms are. I had days where I wouldn't make it to a bathroom. I had days where I was in debilitating pain. A lot of people don't really understand the severity of the illness unless, of course, you're hospitalized and you have people visiting you, or people really see you in your most vulnerable state. I had lost upwards of 20 pounds at one point. At my worst, I was, I'm a pretty slim guy as it is. So when you're like 150 pounds and you lose 20 pounds or more, it can be pretty impactful and pretty scary. But the last flare that I had, which was a couple years ago, instead of rushing to the hospital and instead of freaking out, I decided to let go. I decided to surrender into everything. And I decided to learn how to love myself at the most challenging time. And I just stuck with it. And eventually my body did what it needed to do to bring myself back to a state of homeostasis. And don't get me wrong, I know that we're not all always, able to do that. We have lives to live, we have jobs to work. We can't just take the time and give our bodies, what it needs sometimes, because it can take upwards of months to really get back to a place that you need to go to. But I guess what I would encourage people to learn is to let go of all the control, because, I used to freak out about what medication was going to work or what prednisone was going to do for me. And then when I started to go the holistic route and I got off the medications, I started to really want to control what supplements I was taking, or, oh my God, what kind of diet am I going to be on? What food do I need to avoid? And all these circulating thoughts of control and fear. And when you go to the other side and you start to work on your health, you can almost create the same sort of vicious cycle, because you can start to become afraid of everything around you. And a lot of it is justified because we've been trained to believe that something we're doing is causing our illness. It's your diet that's causing you to feel this way. It's things in your lifestyle that are making you sick. And while I do agree with that to some degree, I also believe that we need to really let go of all this control and to stop blaming ourselves. Because if you have Crohn's or colitis, I'm willing to bet that you are pretty hard on yourself. And I'm talking like before the condition decided to manifest, you're probably somebody who is not only hard on yourself, but has very high expectations. And you're probably an overthinker, and you're probably a people pleaser. For me, I think back to even coming out of high school and just always having this feeling of being different, because everybody seemed to know where they wanted to go, who they wanted to be, what they wanted to do in life. And I always felt this sense of longing for more, or this emptiness with like just going to university and learning these skills to become somebody that we're expected to be. And it's almost like I was putting all this unnecessary pressure on myself at such a young age that I was already lost before I even got started into my adult life. And I've always been hard on myself. I've always been an overthinker. I've always had ruminating thoughts. So, I used to get sick, or I used to have a flare, and I would just get stuck in these ruminating cycles of, what did I do? What can I do? Why is this happening? And you go down these rabbit holes of trying to heal yourself, and it just creates this vicious cycle of stress hormones circulating within you. And you just end up being harder on yourself when everything you try doesn't work, because you come on here and you have videos that are kind of clickbaity, and it's like, this is what you're going to do to heal your Crohn's disease, or these are the steps you need to take to feel better. And really, I'm not saying that didn't work for that individual who made the video, but what works for me might not work for you. And that's where we all need to come together and work together to understand that I can put tools out there for you. I can explain my story and how I'm feeling. But for me to take the pressure off of you, and for you to understand that it might not work for you and you're going to find your own way, and really to learn to have trust and understanding in yourself, in your body, what your body is trying to tell you. I will always encourage people to seek help, because we always need some sort of help in our lives, whether it's our friends or family that we're talking to, whether it's therapy, whether it is a mentor, whether it is just self-healing work. There are so many tools that we can use, and there's so many outlets that we can go to get help, because there's nothing wrong with seeking help. We should always have the mindset that we are entitled to getting help or being heard. But coming back to all of this, I just want to bring to your attention that I'm really just here to share my side of things. I hope my message ultimately resonates with you. I want to continue to create videos about some things that I think are great tools and things that I think that could help you. But I'm always going to come back to the fact that you have the power to help yourself and to feel your very best. And it really will come back to you just learning to love yourself at the hardest times, at the darkest times of your life, because there's going to be moments where you feel like giving up. There's going to be times where you feel like nobody understands you. So if we can kind of step out of here and into our heart space and into our body and sit with these emotions that are going on and really just learn letting go of all of the expectations, all of the control that we've had on ourselves for so long. I think that is really going to be so helpful for everybody who might be feeling this way. So I wanted to start there. My YouTube channel, really, I want my videos to be dedicated towards people who are experiencing this feeling of helplessness with either Crohn's, colitis, low self-esteem, depression. I've experienced all of it. And just knowing that it's okay to feel that way, I think is the most powerful tool to not judge yourself, to love yourself. We can all help each other more learning how to love ourselves. But until then, I really just want to wish you guys health, happiness, and a really amazing start to 2024. Let's get it.